In the last couple episodes, I've been decking myself out with everything I need for a survival world. I've got fully enchanted armor, I've got an elytra, I've got an infinite source of fireworks, and now, with the last episode's addition, I have an infinite source of one of the best food sources in the game. So, what's left? Well, we still have one more important thing to get before I feel like I have every single endgame item that I want, and that is a beacon. But beacons are kind of uniquely difficult. There is one way to get them and only one way to get them, and that is to go to another fortress, kill wither skeletons, make a wither, kill the wither, and make yourself a beacon. Only problem is, I hate nether fortresses. They terrify me because I'm worried I'm going to get lit on fire at any point, and even though I do have, a ton of very good armor and very good food, I still don't like wither skeleton farming. I mean, sitting here for at least an hour, probably more, looking for wither skeletons and killing them is a painfully slow process. I think it's the worst thing in the entire game, unironically. Because, I haven't even found a single wither skeleton yet, and these things do not have a high chance of dropping their skulls. So today, I am going to choose to not hunt these guys and instead make a farm for them. So, how do we farm these things? Well, it's pretty much the way you farm any other mob, which is you get a spawning platform and you get them off that spawning platform and kill them. Pretty simple, but the thing with wither skeletons is they only spawn in nether fortresses, and this shape is not the best spawning platform, but luckily we can kind of exploit these corners. Well, really, it's a feature in the game, but they said they'd remove it, and they haven't, so it kind of feels like an exploit. But the bounding box for where mobs can spawn in a nether fortress is really wacky. In a hallway like this one, or any of the other ones, it is exactly what you'd expect. It's this 5-wide area where there is nether fortress, but in the corners, it's really weird. It goes out, I believe, either 4 or 5 blocks from the center on every side. If you do that on all the corners, you get a pretty good spawning platform. So that will work pretty well, but the other important aspect of a mob farm is getting only the mobs you actually want to spawn, especially with wither skeletons, where the drop is really rare even if you only get the correct mob. So we don't want to be wasting time killing blazes or finding out a way to harvest blazes because, they can fly. So we need to find a way for only wither skeletons to spawn, and luckily there's actually a pretty easy one. Well, I say easy, yet I have popped over into Creative World to show it off, so maybe I'm underestimating its difficulty, but this is the wither flower, and it has two very important effects. One, any mob that touches it gets the wither effect, which just slowly kills them until they die. It doesn't even leave them at half a heart like poison does, and the only two mobs exempt from this are withers and wither skeletons. And the other effect that this flower has is only withers can spawn on it. Which means if we make our spawning platform covered in these flowers, we don't have to worry about blazes or piglins or anything else that might spawn in another fortress. We just get pure withers. But of course, there are always drawbacks, and for this, it's how you get these things. The only way to get a wither rose is to have a wither kill any other mob. Which means, to make this wither skeleton farm, we first have to hunt wither skeletons and kill a wither, which I am completely fine with, because it's still going to be faster to hunt wither skeletons and then make this farm than it will be to even hunt 2 batches of wither skeletons for 2 withers and 2 beacons, because I definitely want more than 1 beacon. So let's pop back over to that nether fortress and get hunting. Actually, not this nether fortress. It has kind of a problem, which is that it's in a crimson forest. For wither skeletons to spawn, and actually any mob for that matter, the mob cap has to not be full, and the mob cap is essentially other monsters have to not really be around, specifically less than 70 of them, and the Crimson Forest has the most other monsters than any other biome. You've got piglins, you've got hoglins, you've got zombified piglins. It's just a whole lot of stuff, so I'm gonna go find a different nether fortress that is preferably just over a lava lake or something, but I'll settle for almost any other biome. Like this one, actually. It's kinda perfect. We found another fortress that is nicely in a warped forest and partially just kind of over lava, which means there are not a whole lot of other mobs. The only thing that spawns in this biome is Enderman, I believe. So this thing is great, and you can already see how many Nether Fortress mobs we're getting. So without further ado, let's do the worst thing in all of Minecraft and hunt some wither skeletons. Apparently my views on how long it takes to do wither skeleton hunting are completely flawed because I already have 3 wither skeleton skulls, as you can see, and it's only been like a little less than 10 minutes and 50 wither skeletons, so that did not take long. And I actually do think a lot of that is because this biome is so good. I mean, there are wither skeletons just everywhere. It does not take long to find these guys, so it went pretty fast. And honestly, I could just make all the beacons I want this way, and it would probably be faster than making a farm, but I wouldn't have a YouTube video then, so let's head over to the end and get this wither to kill some stuff, so we can get wither roses for our farm. Now, the reason I choose the end is, one, it's just a very easy area to have a wither go because I don't care about anything here. The only thing that's important is the portal back home and the portal out to the Out Islands, and neither of those can be destroyed by a wither, so it's completely safe. And secondly, it's a very good source of mobs. There are a ton of Endermen that I'm almost looking at, and while I could just make like a pile of chickens and that would work pretty well, I don't have any chickens, so I'm choosing Enderman because they're just plentiful and they are everywhere here. So let's go ahead and spawn a wither, and hopefully the wither will, well, firstly it will attack me, obviously, but ideally it will also attack the Enderman. And the Enderman will of course attack back, and then the wither should just try and kill them because it's hostile towards everything. So ideally, yeah, it's just going to kill Endermen all around, and then if we turn on hitboxes, we should be able to see the flowers that they drop. Well, I think I've underestimated how much health Endermen have because he's been attacking them for a while now and not a single one has died. He's also attacking me now, which is a little bit of a problem, but luckily I can kind of just hop into the overworld and go get some chickens that will die a whole lot faster. So you know how I said I didn't have chickens early and that was the whole reason I wanted to try and do Enderman? Well, it turns out I was very wrong. I completely forgot I built an egg farm a while ago, and luckily it's not actually chickens that I need, it's these 23,000 eggs, which is much, much more than I thought I'd get from going here. But yeah, I kind of forgot I had this place, and the reason I need eggs is because it means I can just go spawn chickens in the end, essentially. I don't have to like breed them or anything, so all I have to do is actually sit here and right click for a while, and this will just fill my inventory with eggs. And there we go, 3 full shulker boxes of eggs, and I think that should be enough, that it'll spawn enough chickens to get us enough wither roses, so let's head back to the end. Okay, back to the end with all of our eggs, and I think the best strategy here is going to be to build a little pen for our chickens, because otherwise they'll just kind of go everywhere. Hope the wither doesn't notice me, even though it's right there, and then just like get some chickens in this hole, get the wither to come over here, he kills them, we get wither roses. Okay, I got a decent amount of chickens in the hole, but more importantly, the wither is now attacking me, so, or not, I guess he just lost interest, but hopefully I can get him to aim at this hole and kill the chickens, which actually he has already done because we have 38 wither roses, but I need a little bit more than that. I think I'm going for around 2 stacks, so part of me hopes he just notices the chickens. That would be one way to do it, and the other part of me thinks that I'm just going to kind of have to use my player priority of him wanting to attack me to get him to hit the chickens. Okay, he has just sent several shots, yes, straight into the chicken pen, which unfortunately seems to have destroyed most of the wit. Nope, never mind, I just already had half a stack in my inventory. Okay, that is a stack and 1 wither rose, so now I'm just gonna go get more chickens in that hole, and then get him to shoot them again. So, kind of a boring process, I will be back in a bit. Okay, that is all of my chickens. I'm at half health from taking like 20 wither hits in a row, And now I have to actually kill this thing. Well, it's dead, but I've managed to lose the nether star that it dropped somehow, and I've been looking around for it for like 5 minutes at this point. I had to run away from an enderman right as I killed it, so lost track of things. But it's probably despawned at this point, because 5 minutes is how long items last. And I genuinely have no idea how I lost such good track of it. My guess is that somehow the wither like blew up its own nether star, but it's not in my inventory and it doesn't seem like it's on the ground, so I guess I'm just gonna cut my losses. But hey, we have the wither roses, so even if we can't find this one, we'll be able to farm some wither skeletons and get more. So let's go ahead and build that farm, and luckily these farms are super simple to make. The wither roses are really the only complicated ingredient, so I'm gonna go grab a couple more building blocks and head back to that nether fortress, and we can choose a place to build it. Luckily, there are only really 2 criteria. One, it has to be on a corner, because like we talked about earlier, it has to have that good bounding box for where mobs can spawn, and that only exists on the corners of the nether fortress. So we have a couple options here. We've got like that one, and there's a couple others. And the other criteria is we want it to be near as little other stuff as possible. So if we take a land over here, see that that corner is not really surrounded by a whole lot, whereas that one is pretty close to those trees. And the reason that we don't want anything around it is for a spawning sphere. I'm going to be AFKing somewhere way up above the bedrock here, and any area within 128 blocks of me will be able to spawn monsters. That area will barely include this corner spawning platform, and if there was land super close by, I'd have to spawn proof that land, but because there's not, I don't really have to. I just have to spawn proof the parts of the nether fortress. So I'm going to go ahead and do this corner because there's nothing really near it and no other mobs should spawn, which would leave the entire mob cap for wither skeletons, which is just what we want. But before we get building, there's one crucial problem that I have to solve, and that is that I don't have a design, and that's because there's one kinda issue with wither skeleton farms. The player has to kill the wither skeleton for them to drop a skull. So I've popped over into one of my old worlds to kind of show off the way you fix this problem in vanilla, and that is with a dog. This platform is where the withers spawn, and then they fall down this chute down to my dog down here, who kills them, which gets me credit for the kill, and therefore they can drop their skulls. And this works great, except for one kind of big issue, which is this tube. The withers have to be at 1 health for the dog to kill them properly, because if they survive the dog's hit, they kill the dog, which is obviously a problem. But this tube that gets them down to 1 heart with fall damage makes it so that the spawning sphere I just talked about has to include all the way down there, which is a ton more area. You can see my spawn proofing attempts all around us, but the thing is, even at that super great location, this is still going to be a problem. But luckily, we're playing with the create mod, and I have a couple ideas to try and fix the problem of this giant chute. Idea number 1 is a deployer. I've given this deployer a sharpness 5, looting 3 netherite sword, and the idea is we're going to have that kill the wither skeletons. Obviously, there is no dog in danger here, so we don't have to get them down to any amount of health, and this kills them really quick. The only question is whether or not this actually counts as like a player kill, as in whether or not they drop their skulls. So I'm going to sit here for a while and see if they do. And it appears the answer is yes. I haven't even killed that many. It's still killing the insane amount that I put in there. And we have ourselves a wither skeleton skull, which means this method will work for our farm, and we don't have to have a gigantic drop chute to get the withers down in health. So now all we have to do is build it, right? Well, actually, no, because I have found a problem. I was getting a little suspicious of my chosen build location here with this little covered archway, because every single wither skeleton farm like tutorial video on the internet does not use a covered archway. They use these much more open ones. So I was like, I wonder if that's a thing I should be worried about. And it turns out it is. But to figure that out, I had to actually spend about an hour downloading a mod. I kid you not, this thing took forever. I tried several different mods. The first one didn't work, but this one does, and these red boxes are everywhere that nether fortress mobs can spawn, aka wither skeletons. As you can see on my little crossroads that I was going to build it on, it does not have a very large bounding box. It only has the bounding box of what actually makes sense, as opposed to this crossroad, which is the type that I should be using, that has this nice giant amount of extra area that you kind of need for a wither skeleton farm. So I can't build on this one. I have to choose one of these crossroads, and I do actually have a couple different options. There's two over here, they're right next to each other, and there's that one. Those are the only ones I found. Oh, there's also one like buried here, but we're kind of trying to go for minimal amount of land around it, and this one has land like in the crossroads, so no. And then these two also kind of just have stuff too close to them to be super great, so I think I'm just going to go with the one that's right next to our original location right here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and build this thing. I have made a grave miscalculation. I built the farm and it mostly went well, except for one key thing, which you can kind of see there. But you know, we got a nice storage system down here. We got the Wither Killing Machine 9000, so we got like bones and skulls and coal. I just put those in there. It hasn't actually killed any withers yet. And we have probably my favorite powering thing ever, which is the lava wheel. It's just funny to me for some reason. But there's two pretty major things missing that are making this farm really not work. And that is, one, you'll notice only about half the wither wither roses are there. Turns out I got about 2.5 stacks of wither roses, and it turns out I needed about 5.5, so we're a couple short. We only have about just under half, which sucks. And the other thing that's missing that I still have to get in is a normal piglin in the middle there, because wither skeletons don't like piglins very much, so they try to attack it and hence fall down the chute. So I have to do those two things, but the thing is, both of those things are very difficult. Firstly, the wither roses, you saw the process earlier in the episode. That kind of sucks that I have to do that again, but the piglin is actually maybe harder. Piglins only spawn in certain biomes, and the Warped Forest and Basalt Delta that I'm right next to are not one of them. And I've done some looking, and the closest biome that a piglin will spawn in that I've found is way over here by another nether fortress that you can see right over there. This one, the Crimson Forest. There's some piglins actually right here, very conveniently. But these guys are nowhere near the nether fortress where our wither skeleton farm is, but I have to get them from there to over there. And then of course I also then have to pop over to the end, kill some more withers here first probably, and get more wither roses. So I have a lot of stuff left to do, but unfortunately there isn't really enough time left in this episode to do all of that, which is why I'm unfortunately gonna have to leave it till the next one. The wither roses I'll probably just get done in between episodes, because like you've already seen the process. It's real boring. You guys don't need to see that again. And the piglin we'll just do at the beginning of the next one, because for now, I'm gonna have to end this one here. We are just about out of time, so I really hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one when we will actually finish this farm.